Hey everybody, welcome back to Ovals and Oversharing. I'm Amalia.
And I'm Morgan, and today we're going to walk you all through the recruiting process and our experience with it. So, if you want to run in college, this is a good one.
The episode for you.
For sure.
So, we're going to start off with what inspired you to run in college?
Yeah, and I think we both have very different stories. So,
yeah. And this is a good one to ask yourself before you're about to wanting to run in college, why do I want to run in college and what is inspiring me to do so?
Yeah. Because also it is a huge commitment that you're going to make.
Yeah.
And and so I think that also kind of plays into what school you choose, because if you want to be all bought into running, then you that's great, choose a program that is about that. But if you want to do it as more of a hobby and side gig and more focus on other things in college and have a more normal college life, then there's other schools for that too. Or if you just don't want to do it at all, that's also fine. But there's different avenues you can take. So
yeah, I think what inspired me was, my dad had run in college, and I don't know, I kind of knew it was a thing, but then I started seeing, my sophomore year, I saw that some of my senior friends signed to run in college, and I didn't even realize that was a thing. I didn't understand the process, which was kind of scary. I was just assuming that unless you were a state champion, you couldn't run in college, that sort of thing. But then I saw that they weren't state champions. They were pretty fast, but they weren't state champions. They weren't even really state qualifiers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can do it. If they did it, I can do it. So
you just nonchalant. You just so casually just sprayed the cats. Sorry, that was such an intermission.
But in the paper wrapping. But oh my gosh.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. But I saw that they were running college and signing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. I want to have a signing day, blah blah blah. But I was by no means fast enough to run in college. But definitely seeing other people do it is what inspired me. Seeing that other people around my speed or in my school or even just in my city were doing that, running in college and continuing to run in college, regardless of how fast they were in high school, inspired me to do that too.
I don't know if you felt this way, but I don't know if it ever occurred to me that there was D2 and D3 in high school. I thought that there was only D1. And I can't remember exactly what I thought, but my mind was so dialed into D1 and running for CU or CS, because I'm from Colorado, but running for the bigger universities, and I didn't really know there was another way to run in college. So because I think a lot of people kind of have that misconception. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really have that, because my dad went D3. Growing up, I only heard about D3 a lot. And then he was at Adams for a little bit, just running, not on the team but with everybody.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I knew a lot about D3 and then Adams and D2.
And you went to the running camp too, huh? So that was also
yeah, that definitely changed my life.
Yeah. The Adams State running camp, which everybody should go to this summer.
Yeah. So what inspired you to run in college?
I think I don't even know. I think just the literal coaches starting to reach out to me was what kind of made me realize, because I've said before I was gonna go to the military, and that was just my path to get to college, because whatever. And then I started getting these recruiting letters, and I was like, wait, there's actually another way to pay for college than just being smart. I was not very smart. I didn't have a good SAT score or any of that. So I was like, yep, the military is my way. But then running was my way out. And so once I realized oh, I can go to a D2 school and have a good scholarship or whatever, I was like, this is awesome. And so that's kind of what sparked my interest, because I remember my sophomore year, I had thought about running in college a little bit, I think, because my mom and I were just interested, and she actually reached out to Coach Wetmore at CU at a swim meet. When I was at a swim meet, she did this. And she was like, hi, can we come like take a tour and stuff. And so when I was a sophomore in high school, and I couldn't go on like an official visit or whatever, but I could meet him and talk and like just see the facility. And so that's what we did. And then I found out I had to run like, you know, like 4:40 in the mile or something to like be able to be on the team. And I was like, oh, well, that's not happening. So, and then, yeah, but then once other schools started reaching out, I was like, oh, there's actually more options than just CU or Oregon or these bigger D1 schools. So, which definitely. I'm glad, at the end of the day, I'm glad that that's the path I took, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I definitely was the other way around. Like, I only started reaching out to, like, D3 schools, really, because I really wasn't, like, I was not fast enough to go anywhere else, really. Like, maybe I could have if I had reached out, but, like, I did want a decent, I was like, if I'm gonna go somewhere and not have running be, like, my main thing, because I'm not a, like, top recruit or super fast, like, I want my academics to be super good.
You're right, yeah.
Kind of my thing. So I was only applying to like D3 schools with like really good academics and like small schools, like mostly in New England. And then I started getting faster, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, wait, like I could walk on to a D2 or D1 like school team, or I even had like D2, D1 offers that I could have taken. So I was kind of like the other way around, because I just wanted to run. I didn't care how.
Yeah, I think that's cool though. I think now, like, it's gonna be so different too with all the roster cuts in D1, and so I think D2 and D3 are gonna see a lot of that trickle down, you know, which is exciting for, you know, us little guys, but it is sad for, you know, people that built their life around a D1 school and now they have to go find another school or just be done.
Yeah,
like that sucks. But yeah. So, what's your number one tip on getting recruited?
Reach out to everyone and their mom. Like, literally everyone. Like, don't be afraid. Email everyone. You go to the Ross. This is here, I'm going to walk people through it because they're like, how do you do it? Okay, you go, say you want to go run at Suffolk University, okay? You go to Suffolk University track and field, or cross country, or both. And then you go to their roster, and then you scroll all the way down to the coaches section, and you copy and paste their emails into your email bar, and then you write an email, and you usually head it something like, interest in running for Suffolk University. And then you go, dear coach, whoever. And then you say, my name is blah, 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 and I run this time. My GPA is this. I want to run for your school because you have the academic program I have, or a good running program, or whatever reason you're interested in that school. So let me know if you look forward to talking more, blah, blah, blah. Something like that. Longer than that. Usually like a paragraph or two. And then you hit send. And you do that. I made a template, and then I just switch out the university name and the coach's name. Make sure you do that. And then I just copy and paste and send to everyone.
Yeah.
Because the worst they can say is no.
Yeah,
and then
no,
you just move on.
I think that's a great, because like going along with that, like don't limit yourself. Like if you're interested, like say yes to everything, you know? And also give every school a chance. Yeah. Like if they want to take you and give you a recruiting visit and whatever, like go on it, because I went on some visits and that was like almost a game changer in like my decision, you know, just because, and I had no idea that I was gonna like it, but, and I don't remember how I think, oh, this is what happened. Okay, so I went on my Adams visit. I met this guy. His name was Connor. He was also on a visit here. His dad was telling my mom about CSU Pueblo, and I had never even heard of CSU Pueblo, but I was like, oh, I'll reach out. I did the same thing, went down, blah, 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 copy, paste, blah, and then that coach reached out to me, and then I went on a visit, and then that turned into 2 visits, and I almost, like, verbally committed because I loved it so much, and, like, I had no idea, you know? So I think just follow the plot, and if you hear about something that might be interesting, like, give it a shot, because, like, you never know. And it's so fun going on visits. Like, you get free food, so and, like, you get to hang out with the girls, and, like, it's,
it was so fun. But that's my advice. Email everyone. They're not going to reach out to you unless you're Caitlin Toohey or, like, Parker Valby level. Like, they're not
Mhm.
No one's emailing you.
Yeah.
No one. So it's all on you.
Yeah, and like even if you do get like some of those generic letters in the mail or something, that's great, but you need to follow up with the coaches and like
Yeah.
really be personable because there's so many runners out there that are trying to do the same thing you are. So,
Yeah.
you're not you're not that special.
No.
Sorry. I
No.
hate to break it to you, but
Your dream, and you have to work to make it true because it's also like 100,000 other people's dream,
mhm.
and like your little dream isn't important to anyone else, but it's really important to you, and so that means it is important, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you have to make it happen. Like no one else is gonna do it for you.
Yeah, and another thing I would say is like, you know, the time you can start going on visits, like start going, because time gets away from you, especially your senior year. And
Yeah.
then like I was able to commit by November of my senior year. So like that was I think huge because that's a whole nother part is like the scholarship money and they want you to commit by this day because like there's less chance of the money being available and some
Mm-hmm.
schools will even give you like a deadline like we need to hear back by this time. And so um that was kind of a
Yeah.
hard thing to navigate for me, but then I just sent it. So
Yeah. And I know that like I think it's like until you're a junior in high school, you can't actually really talk to coaches or go on visits or anything much. So like maybe your sophomore year you can like make a list of places you would think of going, pro cons list or like goals.
You can go on
But
campus tours even.
yeah, but you don't have to really like stress about it. I know like D3 is a little bit more chill because like there's not any athletic money involved because I remember going like some visits my sophomore year, I think, to like a D3 school, or I was talking to people my sophomore year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact rules, but the coaches will let me know.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to bring a freshman on a visit.
Yeah.
Then they're in trouble. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well then how did you ultimately decide on, well, I guess first Adams and then Suffolk?
Yeah. Here, I'll go and then you go and then I'll go again.
Okay.
I actually this is so like full circle. I was committed to a small D3 school in New England that I now race in my conference, or no, in my region. And because I really wasn't like fast enough to go anywhere else, so I was like, oh, I'll just commit to like this school. Like they had really good academics. It's where my dad went to undergrad. I know I'm gonna get a really great like top tier like education, and I can also run, and they have a decent running team. So I was committed there, but D3 isn't really like committed, so like it wasn't that serious. And then I got a lot faster. I went from like 23 minutes my junior year, which got me to the D3 school, to 19 flat almost my senior year. And then I had just come back from the Adams State running camp, and then I ran that like 2 weeks later, first meet of the season. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, maybe I could go to Adams State where I just went to running camp. So I sent them an email, and they were like, sure, like, yeah, well, you can come on a visit. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. So then I toured Adams and Western, even though I was already technically going to this other school. And I remember I just like fell in love with the team. I like really bought into the program before I was even there. Like Coach Martin could have told me when I was a senior in high school that I needed to like run through the river, the freezing river or something to get faster. And I was like, I'll do it. So I've already bought in to the Adams State program, and I loved the team on my visit. I loved Alamos on my visit, and I literally visited in like the beginning of December or something. So it was like, if I loved Alamos in the middle of December,
yeah, that's saying a lot.
Time, and I loved it at running camp. I loved everything, and I was like, okay, I know I can come here and be faster, get faster. I wasn't probably going to be offered any scholarship money, but I was like, I don't care. I'm going to come here. And like 3 weeks later, I committed.
That's awesome. I think that's a great thing too about like D2 and D3, and even maybe some D1s, but like they'll give you a full visit anybody, like you don't have to be like the state champ or fastest person on the planet to even the fastest person on your team maybe. Like they'll take the time, and I don't know if like that's for everywhere, but especially Adams, like we'll take anybody on a visit, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a visit like that, but that's besides the point. It doesn't matter.
You got a visit.
I got a visit. It just was like low key shite, but like, thanks David Granado. I'm just kidding. I ended up here anyway, so it all worked out. But I even told him that when I came here freshman year, I was like, you know, I almost didn't come here because my visit was so bad. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter because you're here. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, but I'm still mad. So, yeah. But I think your story is cool because it's like you weren't even like planning on it at first, and then like you slowly just fell in love with running, and then like followed like camp, and were like, okay, I'm gonna go to the best D2 school.
Yeah. And I really let my gut and like emotions tell me where to go, because I remember I was driving to school one day, and this was the moment that like I was like, nah, like I'm going to Adams. I don't remember, it was like one of those Ezra, I don't remember his name.
Time flies by in the yellow and green.
Yes, I was driving to school and it's like, time flies by in the yellow and green. I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally, that moment I was like, nah, I literally have to go to Adams. So I pulled into the parking lot.
Oh, that song was like made for Adams State, because then there's a mountain top at
literally, and I kid you not, then I pull into the parking lot and I walk to like the college guidance counselor so that she could help me figure out how to like switch,
get out of your commitment.
Yes. And I don't know, listen to your gut. Like seriously, listen to your gut. Don't let any glitz and glam get you.
Yeah, no, that's actually so facts. And my dad had to talk me out of the glitz and glam, because so I was actually gonna go to, I had like different options and I didn't know what I wanted, so it was between Gonzaga, CSU, Pueblo, and Adams was like my last three, and I wanted to go to Gonzaga because it was like so sick, and they offered me like a 50% scholarship. But then I did the math and I was like, okay, I'm going to be $120,000 in debt by the time I finish. But if I could have got a higher SAT score, I would have had like no debt. But I could not get the SAT score. Like, and I took it over and over and over and over again. I'm telling you guys, I'm not the smartest. So it took me. So I was like, you know what? It's not meant to be. And my dad was like, you know, you would have gone there. It would have been expensive. You would have had all these like rich teammates wanting to go out all the time, and you wouldn't have had the money to do so. Like, it's probably for the best. And I was like, okay, slay, Dad. Yeah. So then it was between Pueblo and here, and I loved Pueblo. I loved the coach. I loved the facility. I loved it all. And I had 2 really great visits there. But then my mom worked with this physical therapist. I think I've told this story on here before. But my mom worked with this physical therapist, and he was like, well, if I had an offer to Adams, like, I wouldn't turn that up. And so then that made me rethink everything. And I was like, well, my visit was shite. Like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like the girls. I didn't know there were trails in Alamosa to run on, which is so crazy because that's all we do is run on them.
Yeah, and that's like all Alamosa is.
Literally, I didn't see anything. But my mom and I had a fun visit anyways, and I made a pro-con list of like both Pueblo and Adams, and then I made a list of things I wanted out of college. And at the top of the list was to run as fast as I can. And it's like, okay, well, Pueblo has some good things, but Adams has this like resume that just is proof, you know? And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't care. And so I'm so opposite of you because I didn't go with my gut at all. I signed with Adams and I was like, yep, I made the worst decision ever. But then like it turned out to be the best thing ever. So
yeah, no, I feel like in the back of your brain somewhere,
yeah, for sure,
like you do.
And like I think you definitely end up where you're supposed to be, right? Because even, and I think Pueblo would have been a fine choice. I think if I went to Pueblo, I probably wouldn't have been as like dominant in, you know, the 5K or cross country. I probably would have been a great 1500 meter runner.
Yeah.
But there's so much that I would have missed out on, like by not coming to Adams. So that was kind of, it was the pro-con list and the physical therapist. His name is David. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
But
and it's definitely what you make it. And like definitely some people, like I feel like 95% of the time you would like, end up where you're like supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then maybe like 5% of the time, like, sometimes you're just not where you're supposed to be. Like, I know people who, like, were miserable, and then they transferred, and then they were really happy.
And I think that happens a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think, and it all works out eventually, and if it doesn't, like, you'll find your way. But, like, yeah, it definitely is a lot of what you make it. Like, we had the best freshman year ever. We came, like, we got lucky because we had such a good class, but, oh my gosh, we had so much fun just together, you know? And, like, I think just being chill and relaxed and, like, down for anything, it was, like, kind of made it, and then we bonded, and...
Yeah, and, like, we definitely made the most of it, because some people would probably be like, oh, like, my freshman year, I redshirted, and, like, so I wasn't really part of the team, and we didn't get to travel with the team, and then COVID happened. Like, that could have been, like, a really negative
way,
no,
but like, we were annoying. We were part of that team.
We forced our way in. Like, we didn't care what people thought of us. We were a part of that team, and we let everyone know.
Yeah, no, we would show up to practice, like, so obnoxious, and, like, but then we would talk to the, like, you know, like, it's not like we just, like, were in our own little group. Like, no, we would run with the upperclassmen and chat with them and tell them all the crazy stories, and, you know, it was good, but, yeah. So then how'd you choose Suffolk?
Oh, yeah. Suffolk. Well, for, like, a while, my last fall semester at Adams, I was, like, just debating the entire time. I was like, do I stay? Do I leave? Like, I didn't have any more, like, classes to take, and I was, like, trying to finesse a way that I could, like, get another undergrad degree, but I was graduating with my BFA, and, like, there was no way out of that, really. So it was so weird, because you can't graduate with your undergrad degree and then just go back and take another undergrad degree. You have to do grad programs. So I was like, I don't really want any grad programs that Adams has to offer. They don't have anything that interests me, and, like, I'd be stuck here for 2 more years, and I only have 1 year of eligibility, and I don't know, there just wasn't anything academically left for me there.
Something told you needed to get the frick out of here.
Yeah, and then I was kind of, like, having a rough go, but I think it was, like, part of it that I was, like, my foot had gotten out the door a little bit, because I had been thinking about that all fall, just, like, this impending graduation situation, and then I was like, okay, I want to go to New England. I don't know, like, I basically grew up over here, like, going to summer camp, like, a lot of my friends live over here, I know the area, so it kind of came full circle. I didn't end up going to small school in New England in the first place, but I ended up at one. And yeah, then it came down, I applied to, like, 8 different schools, grad schools, and got in, but then I had to, like, whittle it down to which, like, few I actually wanted. It came down between Suffolk and Tufts, and Tufts didn't let grad students run on their team, which was really sucky, because I probably would have gone there, gonna be totally honest, just because of the academic program they had to offer. They had, like, a really cool, like, art program, but I wanted to run, and I knew I wanted to run, and I didn't care. Well, I did care, but I wanted to run. I wanted to be able to run. So then I chose Suffolk, because they had a marketing program, and I could do, like, some creative stuff with that. And then I also just really liked the coach. I actually never got to talk to the Tufts coach, because there's, like, some crazy rules in that conference, so I feel like that was, like, a blessing in disguise that I didn't end up somewhere with, like, crazy strict rules and, like, that kind of thing, because, yeah, Coach Feldman, who's my coach now at Suffolk, was just, like, we hit it off right off the bat. He reminds me of David Granado and BMed combined, which is my 2 oldest assistants. And, yeah, he was like, you come here, like, I can help you get the rest of your goals that you haven't reached yet, and, like, you can keep being better. And there was also some other grad students on the team, which was appealing, because I didn't want to go somewhere where there weren't grad students, or, like older kids.
You'll feel like a legit camp counselor.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was nice, and it's in Boston, so I was like, this is great. Lots of opportunities. Yeah, so my choice to come to Suffolk was definitely a little bit more academic based, but that being said, like, my coach has improved me here, and I think that says a lot. Like, I was really worried coming from Adams to another school that I wouldn't improve, and I kind of, like, accepted that, but, like, that hasn't been the case, and it's proven that, like, I can run fast anywhere, and, like, most college coaches do know what they're doing. Not all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them. But most of them do know what they're doing, and I got lucky that I got one that knew what he was talking about.
I also think, like what we're saying, it's, like, everything kind of works out the way it's supposed to. Like, now you're getting, like, an MBA, and, like, that's probably going to help you in so much, you know, because, like, just thinking of, like, okay, if you would have gone art, like, yeah, that would have been fine, and you probably still could have done something in marketing, but now you're going to get your foot in the door, like, with the business side of things, too, and it's, like, you actually, and I feel like I always saw you, like, going into marketing a little bit, you know, like, just, like, because I, like, did marketing, and I was like, well, I don't know why Amalia doesn't do marketing, like, she likes the same things I do, but then, like, now you get to do it, and it's, like, okay, you're not only just, like, having fun running your last year, but then, like, you're also getting a degree that's also gonna be,
exactly.
Who's to say, like, more or less helpful than what you wanted, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, it's nice because, like, my coach here is a little bit more chill, and he knows that I need to put school first. Like, being a grad student, like, my classes are significantly harder, and I have an internship and, like, other jobs, and, like, he's very flexible with that, and that was another key, like, component. He was like, we can work around your school schedule, we can work around your work schedule, and still, like, be able to get you to run faster and, like, keep. So that's something really important. Like, if you're gonna have a coach, like, are they gonna be really pushy or pressury or aggressive? But yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. So.
All right, the last thing. If there's one thing you would have taken into consideration, what would have been, now that we've been through the recruiting process? I thought about this, and I've thought about this a lot, because
I know what you're gonna say, but
like, I wouldn't change coming to Adams at all. Like, now that it's been said and done, like, I think I had the most special experience here, but I wish I had more C-level opportunities. And, like, that's something I didn't realize, and even living here now, I'm like, you have to spend so much money to travel to C-level to race. And guess what? In the real world of running, like the semi-pro and professional world, they don't take conversions. They don't take altitude conversions. So you gotta run it raw. So it's either drive to Kansas and do it there, or, like, spend a ton of money on planes and stuff, where it's like, you know, now you're in Boston and you can go race at one of the fastest tracks just in your backyard, you know? And so, and I didn't know this about myself either coming in to college, like, because I just grew up at altitude, but I actually perform so much better at sea level than altitude. Like, I usually always run faster than my conversions, and so I just wish I would have, like, thought about that a little bit, but I don't think it would have really changed, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I think there's also tons of benefits, because who's to say that if I were to train at sea level, if I would have been good either? Because I think there are benefits, even though I suck at working out here, I suck at racing here, but I don't suck, but it's definitely not pretty ever. And, okay, this is such a side note, but, so my new triathlon coach, he was telling me that if you have a lower, like, heart rate, you're actually usually better at running at altitude. Fun fact, my max heart rate is, like, 205 or something. No, it's, like, probably higher than that. So I have a higher heart rate, therefore, and I don't know, like, he was just saying that he had kind of that theory, because he said he always did really well at altitude, even though he's from sea level, but he has a really low max heart rate. So that's such a side note, but that would have been what I would have taken into consideration.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's also for me, like, because then there was so much pressure on, like, the sea level meets that, like, if you, because you're going all this way, you're traveling for, like, 10 hours of the day to get somewhere, and, like, we weren't, like, the most bougie rich ball in school. Like, we only could afford, like, one trip to sea level every year.
Yeah.
So when people are like, oh, like, you shouldn't count your altitude conversions as your PR, I was like, I hadn't run a mile at sea level in my entire life until this year. Yeah. So, like, what was I gonna count?
So I guess I just don't have a PR then.
I know, like, my PR is like 507 from, like, the bubble. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know. But yeah, that one would have been good because there was just so much pressure at sea level meets.
Yeah. And then other schools at sea level, like, make fun of us because we, like, it's like, sorry we're not rich. Like, sorry we can't just fly to sea level every single weekend. Like,
literally. Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, we chose to come here, so like I didn't know what. But yeah, there definitely were benefits to training at altitude, and I'm still training at altitude. So, but
yeah, definitely that. I'm trying to think of like, I guess something like relating to Alamosa would be like resources.
Oh, yeah.
Just like when you're hurt, like if you're gonna go to school in a small town, like, do they have like PTs and access to things like dry needling, or
and a pool, a mother trucking pool? Is there a community pool?
Yeah, like, do they have an indoor track? Like, does the school you want to go, is it really cold? When I was applying to grad schools in New England, some schools didn't have an indoor track, and I was like, where do you run your indoor workouts when it's snowing and ice outside? Like,
they're like outside.
Yeah, and like, no, I like, there's some things I could give up, but it's not that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But yeah.
And then I think too, like, just the team, like when you go on your visits, hang out with the team and like see if you're gonna vibe with them, you know, because I think that's just such a huge part. And like obviously I didn't know you or Raina or like any of the freshman class coming in, but well, like I said, I didn't get to hang out with any of the girls like at Adams, but I think that is a big part, you know, like think about who you're gonna be around and like do you even like your coach that you're gonna like.
Exactly.
Because if you get weird vibes, then maybe go somewhere else.
Definitely. Because like I didn't come on a visit to Suffolk. I just like straight up, I didn't meet a girl, didn't meet the coach.
Yeah.
The first time I met anyone or the coach was the first day of practice. So like,
that's crazy.
But I like, yeah, you can feel it out from like stalk their Instagrams, text them. Like I was texting with like the older girls on the team, and like they helped me find an apartment, and like Coach Feldman, I could like call him literally anytime, even before I was here. So like you know in your heart.
Yeah.
But
going back to the resources thing too.
Yeah.
This is a pro tip, and like Adams State actually has like a ton of resources for being like a small D2 school, but I heard that if the football program is usually good, then the training room and weight room is usually like top tier. Like you're gonna have all your resources because obviously they need all of that stuff to take care of the football players, so they're gonna obviously have that for you too.
Well, I'll counter that because there is no football team at Suffolk, and I have never been treated better than the training staff, like because there is no football team.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's not these like 70 guys always like, oh, my pinky hurts, I need ice bath. Like,
yeah,
there's like more time for everyone else, and there's more money for everyone. Like,
that's
because
fair.
of that, like I can see, like, because I'm old enough to be able to notice these things, like our travel budget is insane, and I want to say like 90% of that is because we do not have a football team.
That's crazy. Like, I just say that because like Pueblo had such great resources, and I think part of that was because of like their football program. And then like somebody had told me along the line like, oh yeah, if they have a good football program, their training room and like weight facilities are going to be top tier, and it kind of makes sense. But also what you're saying, so
it can go either way.
Also, a training room is a training room. Like you don't really need. It's really not. I was hurt this whole last season. I didn't go to the trainers once.
Same with the weight room though. Like people are always like, oh, the like 17 racks. I'm like,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
In there for like a total of an hour every week.
Yeah.
Like
no.
And then the locker room, people are like, the locker room at the I don't even think I have a like. I could go ask my coach for a locker, but I like don't need a locker. So I don't have
yeah. Like, see, that's what we're saying with the glitz and the glam. It's not that important. It's really not. Like,
or even like gear. I got like a half zip, my uniform, and 2 t-shirts, and like say less. Like that's fine. Like I don't need a bunch of gear.
I will say the free shoes are nice.
That is
because
nice.
Those are expensive, and I was mooching like this last season. I was like, I'm taking everything I can get before I have to pay for it all by myself. But
that was really nice.
But you are right. Like you don't need 50 million school jackets and hats and socks and underwear. I'm just joking.
No, for real though, because like at the end of the day, all that ends up at the thrift store. So
but that's all we have, everybody.
Yeah, we'll hopefully have a follow-up with a
Yes.
more professional.
Hopefully.
We'll find someone, a professional recruiter, college recruiter.
Yes.
We'll find someone to talk more about it.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, leave them. And then all about recruiting. We'll do a second follow-up.
Yeah. Hopefully next week we'll get like an actual college recruiter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we'll get Damon Martin on here. I'm just joking.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
All right. Bye everybody. Thanks for listening.
Everybody, bye.